Hi, I'm Reverend Jake Zabe, and welcome to Children's Bible Stories. Alright children, our story for today is going to be the story of Moses and Aaron before Pharaoh. So after God had sent Moses back to Egypt, he met up with his older brother Aaron. And the Bible tells us that at this point in time, Moses was 80 years old and Aaron was 83 years old, being just a few years older than Moses. And they went to Pharaoh, and Moses told Pharaoh to let my people go. Now, this is important to know, children, because many stories get this wrong and say that Moses was asking Pharaoh to let the people go away from slavery. That's not what Moses asked Pharaoh. God sent Moses to ask Pharaoh, let us go out into the wilderness and worship God, and then we'll come back. Now, God was going to use this event to let the Israelites get freedom and be free from slavery, but God didn't come to Pharaoh and just outright ask, let us no longer be slaves and go be an independent nation and never come back. Because if God asked Pharaoh that straight away, Pharaoh definitely would say no. Instead, God sent Moses to ask Pharaoh, let us go out into the wilderness and worship God, and then we'll all come back. Now, if Pharaoh was a nice Pharaoh and had faith in God and believed the people of Israel, he would have said, oh, that's okay, Moses. Yeah, you go out into the wilderness, worship your God, then come back. Instead, you know what Pharaoh said? He said, Moses, Aaron, why do you want the people to stop working? Go back to work. And so he just basically yelled at Moses and Aaron to go back to work and make all those lazy Israelites keep working. And he thought, these Israelites, they're so lazy. Listen to them, wanting to go out and take some time off to worship. You know what? If they've got so much time that they can go and worship, they mustn't have enough work. So I'll give them more work to do. And so he sent out his soldiers to be even harder on the Israelites, taking away the hay that they used to make bricks and increasing the amount of bricks that they had to make and beating them all the more harder when they didn't get the bricks done in time. But God came to Moses again and said, Moses, you need to go and speak to Pharaoh. And at that point Moses said, but God, I'm a man of uncircumcised lips. Now, nobody knows exactly what Moses meant by this, but this was Moses' way of saying to God, I'm not a very good speaker. Some people think Moses had a stutter because he elsewhere says that he has like a big fat tongue. So maybe he had a stutter or he had some kind of speech impediment, but Moses thought that he couldn't speak very properly. And so God said, don't worry, take Aaron with you. He says, before Pharaoh, I will make you as God, and Aaron shall be your prophet. So just as Moses was God's prophet, Aaron was going to be Moses' prophet. And God says, when you go into Pharaoh, and Pharaoh asks you for a sign to explain why you keep bothering him, you're going to throw your staff on the ground and it's going to become a snake. And so Moses and his brother Aaron did exactly what God had commanded them. They went into Pharaoh and said, let our people go to worship. And Pharaoh said, why? And Aaron said, watch this. And he threw his staff on the ground and it became a snake. But Pharaoh wasn't very impressed. He didn't have faith in God. He said, so what? My magicians can do that too. And so he got his two magicians to come out. Now, the book of Exodus doesn't say how many magicians there were or what their names were. But in the book of 2 Timothy in the New Testament, St. Paul tells us that there were two magicians, Jannes and Jambres. And they came out and they also threw their staffs on the ground and they turned into snakes. Now the Bible said they did this through incantations. That means that they did this by the power of demons. That they spoke to the demons and they got special power from the demons so that they could do naughty witchcraft stuff. And so Aaron had turned his staff into a snake using the power of God, but the naughty magicians turned their staffs into snakes through the power of the demons. But then God, showing that he has control over everything, even the demons, Aaron's snake went and gobbled up the snakes of the Egyptian magicians. And then Aaron picked up the snake and it turned back into a staff. And that's the end of our story for today, children. If you join us again next time, we're going to start with the first of the 10 plagues. I've been your host, Reverend Jake Zabel. Goodbye and God bless.